everyone. Brittany Brown here, founder over at Beating Binge Eating, and I am with one of our graduates, Dottie. It's amazing to have you here, Dottie. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a privilege.
Awesome. So I am going to be going deep with Dottie today because she's had a really interesting journey. Her struggle with binge eating, kind of a dysfunctional relationship with her body and food, started at a really young age, around 16. The thick of it was in her teens and 20s. And then she had this long evolutionary journey out of that really intense place, but never could quite get anything to stick, could get her freedom to last until she came into our program. And so I wanted to ask her, since this struggle went on almost 40 years, really dig under the hood, so to speak, and found out what are those pieces that Dottie really got you over the edge from struggling and some suffering at times to this place of freedom and ease with your food, with your body, with your self-worth. And just really, one thing I love about your personality is you're such a light and you're so positive and so warm and so amazing. And I love seeing that can exude out of you now without the struggle holding you back. So for everyone watching, this interview is going to be incredible because I'm going to be asking some questions so you can learn actionable things that really supported Dottie on her journey to freedom. So let's jump right in, Dottie. I'm excited to have you here.
Sounds great.
Awesome. So, there's so many places we could start, but I think the first place I always love to start is just painting a picture of what was life like before coming into our program? What was your relationship with food like? How did that look?
Wow. Okay. I had a great life. I have to say I had a lot going for me. But I think what was going on is I just had the remnants of the automatic behavior for restriction. Restriction was a huge piece in my evolution in this particular program. And I didn't even realize how a really restricted lifestyle I had. It was kind of all or nothing and very performance, very driven. And really, I'm not that person. I'm really much more a hippie, organic, go by the, just go with the flow and slow person in a fast-paced world. And I think I just got lost in that and did not realize how intertwined food and behaviors like that, the overindulgence at night, just became an automatic response to years of conditioning, mostly with the restrictive living was the key component that I just needed some exposure. I needed it to be exposed once and for all and to be done with it. But my life was good. Things were good. But it was like this nighttime eating that kept haunting me. I'm like, why? The house is empty, or I'm tired, or it was just a reward system. And I thought, well, yeah, but I feel like I do allow good things throughout, but there was still that restrictive piece, I think, that was haunting me.
Got it. Okay. So in your past, teens and 20s, there was this darker component to it, it sounds like, when you were younger, and you had gotten through the thick of that. But I know, for example, eating disorder treatment tends to actually still be restrictive. You don't ever fully, there's still rules, there's still rigid ways of being. And a lot of people think that it's to support structure, to support freedom. But I see so many of our women who come from that path of healing still have some remnants of that behavior that leads to things like nighttime eating, emotional eating, escaping whatever's going on at the end of the day. It's actually one of the most common things I see, whether there's restriction or not. So you come to us, you've come a far way, but you still have these patterns that you can't seem to shake that look a lot like eating what you thought was just nutritionally during the day, but for whatever reason, overnight, at night would happen and these automatic patterns would take over and you'd either be overeating, binge eating, snacking, whatever that looked like, but you weren't in your power with food, let's call it, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. No, I wasn't. It was empowering me. That it took over me. I was not in my adult empowerment is what I call it. I was still listening to that young young little voice saying, oh, hey, it's time to celebrate, or it's time to, eat everything you usually don't allow yourself to eat. So it's just sneaky that I think the restriction is a very sneaky part of that disordered eating or that black and white thinking.
Totally. Yeah. And then it's the black and white thinking, I think is, well, it's the restriction. And then it's like, okay, when I'm not restricting and I let myself have a cookie, might as well eat the whole bag because, cookies aren't going to be coming tomorrow or whatever that looks like. So, okay. So thank you for painting that picture. And then what does your relationship with food look like now?
Well, I have to say that I think the biggest thing now, you talk about shifts and you talk about these ahas, and they happened all along the program, but I think post-program is just dropping down and really, what do I want? What does my body want? And really coming in partnership, I call her partnership with her, and being present. That is by far the biggest thing I'm currently and continually working on. It's like, what do I really want to nourish myself with? And if it's a hamburger with a salad, one meal, and then if it's salmon and broccoli, it doesn't matter what it is. It just matters what I want in that moment. And that just that allowance. I know your mom, she says it's allowance with balance, which I loved. And it's so true. It's just dropping into myself and just trusting that my body knows what she wants. And when I'm full, to just honor that fullness and move on and not be stuck in that full, like, oh, I'm full, therefore I have to overindulge. That is the old way, and it's that pattern interrupt that you talk about so beautifully and throughout the program, where it's like, oh, no, it's just that old urge to continue when I really don't need to. And so it's just, that's kind of where I'm at now. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, things sound easier for you, which is beautiful. How long has it been since you've graduated? I know this answer, but just
well, I finished the program in August, so last August. So it hasn't been quite a year, but I quit, almost a year. But I have to say, going through the program, it is so much where you're just like, oh my word, wow, where have I been? Like the knowledge was just so immense and so much to process. And because I'm a turtle by nature, I needed to figure out, oh, wow, what I need this to sink in. And through the phone calls, like, oh, I'm just not getting that urge, dismissing the urge. And now it makes sense as I've continued my work, that it's just that old voice. It's just that old voice that is just so used to calling alarm to overindulgence or binge eating or whatever it is. And I don't need to listen to that anymore. I don't need to listen to that alarm. What I need to do is listen to what I call just my grown-ass woman self. And here we go.
Grown-ass woman self. I might use that in a future module.
It's just, it is. And that's what I wanted. But I never knew clicking on that button for that free interview would bring me to such evolutionary knowledge and self-awareness and just such growth. It's truly my little mini miracle, and I'm just so thankful.
I love that. And then for everyone listening, she's talking about the button for the free strategy, free feeding binge eating breakthrough call is what she's chatting about. So, okay. So one thing, Dottie, I have some other questions for you, but I always try to get in the mind of like the listener, and a lot of women who are listening to this probably are just landing on our stuff for the first time. They're, just, when they hear like something like you're saying, like dismissing an urge, they might think something like, oh, she can do it, but I could never get there. Or like, oh, she can practice balance, but I could never get there. And so I want to affirm to everyone that's listening, you had those same feelings too. It's not like this stuff was just, you know, you practice balance and everything just switched. It was this evolutionary process using the steps of our program to get you to this place. Because I know there were times in the beginning of the program where you're like, this woman's crazy. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this stuff. So yeah, can you speak to that a little bit? Just your experience of at first, what it felt like to learn these tools, and then now, like how it shifted over time.
Yes. Well, I can't say enough about the support. And also, when I did click the button for the free phone call and the strategy call, and I really signed up and I said, I have nothing to lose. And it was just the right program for me. It took work, and it took showing up on the calls and doing the work of the program. And I remember a quote that says, don't get upset by the result you don't get by the work you didn't do, or something like that. And I think those of us who have been on this journey for a very long time, or maybe even a short amount of time, you just want the quick fix. You want the quick fix, you want the quick diet, you want this, but that never worked for me. And I did all the quick fixes, and I just did not fix it. And so for those of you out there who think you can't do it, you just do the next thing. Just do the next call, and maybe you will go binge that night, but just show up, and then keep showing up and keep doing the work. And the one thing that I did commit to, it's like I'm drawing the line in the sand, and the things that I knew were true in the program, fueling myself, nourishing myself, giving myself enough fuel, and not living in fear, and then just dismissing the urges and trying different methods with that. It just wasn't just, oh, wow, journaling, that's going to work for me. Well, it didn't necessarily work for me always, so finding out what works for me, and just practice. So if I can do it 40 years, that's a long time to have some line, just even just a little something regarding, I don't know, it's just an unhealthy relationship with food and my body. You can do it. I mean, there's nothing special about me except I was just wanting to get to the bottom of it. I wanted freedom, and I couldn't get freedom the way I had been doing it all of my life. So I will call it a miracle. And at first, your program was the one that popped up on my screen when I Googled beating binge eating. And I am so thankful. And I will forever be thankful. It was a line in the sand. It was definitely a forever pivotal moment for me. And so it's changed my life.
Thank you for sharing that, Dottie. I love that. And yeah, working with you and watching you grow has just been absolutely incredible. And yeah, your spirit and your commitment. And I think if I remember anything about your journey, it was like the commitment and the line in the sand, and that is the differentiating factor of people being successful with this stuff, just like pouring themselves into it. And I love what you said, and I remember this about your journey too, is like, you actually didn't care about knowing what the whole picture looked like. Like you were just like one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. And there was a certain level of trust, I believe, that you gave us and gave the program. And you just like poured yourself into it. And you're like, okay, I just got to do this one thing. And then this one other thing. And you're practicing. And then all of a sudden, everything starts coming together and things get easier for you, which I really think is beautiful. So I'm curious, I know life was good before you came into the program, but what were some impacts beyond just body and food, or beyond just food, right? We haven't talked too much about body, but what were some impacts in other areas of life, whether it's your relationship with your body, your family, I know you have some goals and dreams that you're feeling like you have space for now. So yeah, speak to that a little bit. So food is not consuming you anymore. What happens after that?
Life, it's wonderful. I think for me, it's just clarity. I just feel like I'm clear, I'm mindful, I'm present, and I have space to grow and think and connect. It's just almost like all of my nerve endings have come alive fully, and I'm so much more aware of myself and what I like, what I don't like, who I like, who I don't like, the things I love, the things I don't care for, and I've just been honoring myself. I actually came from an interview. I had an interview in a high school this morning, and I sat in that car and I thought, knowing that we'd have our interview today, and I sat in the car before the interview and I thought, I don't think I would be in this interview had it not been for the Binge Eating Blueprint in my life. I think my relationships with my husband have shifted only in the best way, and my kids. And I feel like as much as I honor everybody else, I'm also honoring me now. And so I still want to write my book. I still want to decorate my home. I just feel like I have space. I have breath where I'm not consumed with, I'm nervous about, I just ate too many chips, and now I got to go eat the rest of the chips in the rest of the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's not like that. And yeah, so there's just more space to live. I'm living and I'm finding the truest part of who I am. And, the highest version is what you all call it. And it's so true.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Well, yeah, this is incredible. And it's always my favorite to hear kind of like what opens up for someone after they have found freedom. And I think, you just don't even I know for me, it was like, what do I actually like to do? Like, how do I want to live? Like, how do I want to feel? Like there were so many things that opened up after life, post binge eating, post struggling with my body and things like that. So, okay. So like one or two more questions. I know the restriction was a big piece for you. Any big like nuggets or takeaways? Like if someone asked you, hey, what was your biggest thing that really shifted either your relationship with food or relationship with body? What would that be? No right or wrong answer, just curious.
Right. Okay. I think the two things that I really had to trust, when I would do my deep breathing and, lead me in the way of trust and help me to trust the process. One was fueling my body and not being afraid to fuel it. And I know at the very beginning, it's the only time you really talk about how much fuel a body needs and to trust it. And I had to just trust it. And I remember being on a call and I was like, wow, I feel a little like swollen or bloated because you haven't had brown rice in like a year, Dottie. You know what I mean? It's like, and just how, just having the tribe of women there as well, and you. But I think for me, just trusting to fuel myself, that my body knows when it'll be full, but giving it enough food. The other thing that happened that was a gift in the long run was the restrictive, not only with food, but exercise. And I know it is so hand in hand with us girls who struggle in this and men. I injured my knee. I slipped when I was jogging in the winter and I had to slow down. And I remember thinking, Dottie, you have to slow down. You just have to slow down. And it was, during the program, post-program, but it was something that I knew I needed to do. And I did. And it was just trusting that process. Like, oh, my body still knows how to regulate itself, even if I am immobile, can't work out or can't really move fast or whatever for 6 to 8 weeks. And that was pivotal to me. And since then, I've just listen to my body. What do you want to do? And sometimes it's cleaning the house. Sometimes it's resting. Sometimes it's gardening. Sometimes it's hiking. Sometimes it's going for a run, but it's not restrictive anymore. I will not do it. And if I find myself doing that, I just slow down. I just start walking or just check in. So those, I would say those were the two trusts. And it is a journey of trust that something else is going to be better than what we've done. And so, and those of us who struggle with control, trust is a big part of this program. So that's that.
Yeah, totally. And, just so everyone knows who's listening, when we talk about allowance and releasing restriction, Dottie mentioned a really beautiful word earlier, it's balance. And it's not like, I think some coaches, when they talk about allowance, they're like, eat whatever you want and pizza all day. And it's like, yes, you can eat whatever you want, but we're still teaching you how to check in with your body, bring your body into the discussion, nourish yourself, care for yourself. And your actions might look a little messy in the beginning, right? But they end up coming from this place of connection and care. And then you develop this really balanced, health-giving, high vibe way of eating that's not forced like it used to be, where you used to have to force yourself to do it. Now it's more connected to yourself, and from everything from food to movement to just how you function in the world. So yeah, I think that's so beautiful, Dottie. So this has been incredible. And I love that people are going to be inspired and then also like have some items to learn from, right? And implement in their own life. So thank you. I'm curious, before we wrap up for the day, like any last words of wisdom, maybe someone who's like on the fence about scheduling a call, or just like anything you want to say in general about your experience, the program, before we sign off.
Okay. Please click the button when it says a strategy call. Please just do it. Let somebody else into your world. And I feel like it's the Beating Binge Eating Blueprint is so a tribe of beautiful sisters who are, they're just your people. And please do that, number one. And then just learn to trust somebody other than your own thinking. Sometimes you just need to get out of yourself and trust somebody else because your way is not working. And nobody's happy with keep going back and recycling the whole crazy cycle of binge eating and then restriction. That's not fun. It's not fun. It's not pleasurable. It's not truly living. Just trust the process and things will happen. Life will happen. Trust me, please. I really beg of you to just trust this program. And if you do the work and you show up for yourself and you're honest, the results come, and they keep coming. They'll keep coming. So I love you. I love the program.